Welcome to first guest episode of Aaron Sneeze POV, and thank you very much to Dean Leshak for joining me for a deep and meaningful conversation. So we'll run through a bit about Dean's history, and then we'll go into more nutrition and training topics. So would you like to introduce yourself, mate?
Yeah, so I'm Dean Leshak, as you just said, but also known as Dean the Protein, stupid nickname that I got over the years. But yeah, so I competed in bodybuilding for a good 14 years, won 4 British titles, and retired about 7 years from that, and went down this kind of health journey, learned all about mind, body, how nutrition affects pretty much everything, and really got stuck into that since the last about 7 years. So more onto longevity on a big health kick, really, because as we all know, bodybuilding is probably one of the most unhealthy sports you could do, and we try to do it as healthy as possible. So after retiring, I still love to train. I don't eat half the food as what I used to, and my diet's very different. But I like to think we can have a nice balance where we can still hold a little bit of muscle, train, hold some good strength, but still be very healthy with it. So that's where I'm at this point in life.
What was it that kicked off your whole passion for training when you were young? What was it that got you into it?
Messed up childhood. I don't mind talking about it these days. When I was young, I had an alcoholic father. He was very abusive. He used to smash the house up a lot, slap us if we got in the way. He would beat and rape my mom on a regular basis. It wasn't a good environment. And as you imagine, growing up as a kid in that environment, I was very shy, very timid, very scared. So as I got a little bit older, all I wanted to do was get bigger and stronger, be able to protect myself and my loved ones. So I got into martial arts. Well, first of all, I started as a runner. I was a little skinny kid at school that didn't have a chance. Everyone was way bigger than me. But somehow I became cross-country district champion. Then as I got a little older, I got into the martial arts. I had a few interclubs and I won them. And then when I got into bodybuilding, I won 4 British titles. So not having the best genetics and not having a great start, how did this happen? When I look back on my life now, that horrible shit we went through as kids, there's 5 of us. I got 3 brothers and a sister and myself. We went through a horrible childhood. But I believe if I never went through that, it would never give me the mental strength what it takes to win high class bodybuilding shows, to get yourself into that kind of condition. It's fucking hard mentally more than and physically. So I won a lot of these shows from smashing myself up in the gym. I started off as a kid, I was self-harming quite a bit, and people start to notice cuts and scars and question. So I found when I started going to the gym, that was my form of self-harm. I would beat myself up in the gym and really hurt myself. And I found that there wasn't any marks on me, but I was getting positive effects instead of negative ones. And it just
used it as your used it as your release almost.
And then every human has 6 needs, and everyone's different to which of those they prioritize. But normally a big one in most humans is the need to feel significant in some way. And as I was growing up, I never felt that in my life. And when I won my first cross-country show, like most kids, you're out of breath, you just give up, you start walking. I never had that mentality because of what we went through. It was no such thing as stopping. I'd be spewing up. I'd crawl across the line if I needed to. So then I managed to win, and then I got rewarded, and I felt significant for the first time in my life. That felt amazing. I got addicted to that. So through the whole punishment, I was pushed myself way harder than most people could, and I got rewarded for it, being able to feel significant. So then it became a thing, and when I finally realized my self-worth and I didn't need to self-harm in any kind of way, that training was kind of instilled in me. And it's still like I had to, in whatever gym I was in, most of the time, be able to do something that nobody else in the gym could do, because I would feel significant in that way. And some people cover themselves in tattoos or piercings or whatever, make themselves look so different to stand out and feel significant. My thing was punish myself, squat 5 plates aside for 20 reps, because nobody else in the gym was doing that. That was my way of feeling significant, and the knock-on effect grew my physique, which enabled me, along with the mentality, with the dieting and everything, to being able to win top bodybuilding shows. So I was never into bodybuilding, but when I was doing martial arts in the gym, one of the guys who owned the gym, he's passed away now, bless. His name is Jeff Collins. He was a photographer and also a judge treasurer of the EFBB back then. And he kept on my case saying, look, I think you've got the potential in shape-wise genetics. You could do really well at bodybuilding. Would you give it a go? My instant reaction was, what? They stand on stage in little pants posing in oil? Like, I don't want nothing to do with that. That's not what I want to be doing. And it kept going on. And I got in with bad crowds at that time in life. I was working on building sites without drinking a lot. And I needed some stability in my life and get away from that, because I didn't like the path that I was going down. Martial arts taught me respect and discipline, and it kind of molded me to want more in life. So I listened to this guy. He kept banging on. I thought, well, he's a judge. He knows what he's talking about. Let's give it a chance. So I listened to him. He taught me the basics of nutrition. I trained hard in bodybuilding for a solid year. Competed at the Mansfield under 21s. I was 20 years old, and I won the first show, which got me an invite to the British Championships. And then I went on to win the under 21 British Championships. And that was how it kickstarted and got me into bodybuilding. I hated it.
See, that's mad that you weren't even into it, that you were just training. And it just ended up a byproduct of training. It's totally different reasons that people seem to get into it nowadays. People seem to want to compete for that. It seems to be like a rite of passage the minute you're in the fitness industry, that people want to compete for Instagram and stuff these days. But that's the one reason I've never done it, to be honest. I've been around, like, the place I grew up in Dundee is called Ardlar, and the gym in Ardlar Community Centre, it was all competitors, so that was the first place I trained out of. So ever since I was the age of a junior, I've fancied doing a show, but I know what it takes, and I was always enjoying my weekends and things too much, so I always says, if I'm ever going to do it, I'll do it when I'm 40, I'll do the Masters. But, and I was into other sports as well, so what martial arts was it you were into?
When I first started off, I got into Thai boxing. A good family friend of mine, he was crazy, mad into martial arts. Big fan of Jeff Thompson, if anyone's ever heard of him. He used to work doors, security, and he was very streetwise, like 2-3 people attacking one, real situations at work. So we did a lot of that stuff together, mainly the Thai. And then I progressed into the fighters classes, and I had a few interclubs where I won. Again, I believe that's purely from the mentality of my younger years, that I was able to put myself through that and get to that kind of level. And then we did a lot of the self-defense stuff, weapon training and stuff like that, which I was working in security, so that came in handy a lot. And then I got into martial art, after I did martial arts from about 16 to 19, and then I did that bodybuilding show. Then I didn't really like it, so I moved away from bodybuilding after winning the juniors for about 3, maybe 4 years. I went back into martial arts, and that was the time when UFC was a new big thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I got into MMA, mixed martial arts, a bit of jiu-jitsu. I was doing a lot of that. And again, after a little while, I was in the bad crowds and stuff. So I wanted that stability back in my life. So bodybuilding gave me that structure, and it gave me an excuse to stay away from going out, clubs and drink and anything like that. I hated being in that situation anyway, from my father in my younger years being an alcoholic. I didn't like being around alcohol. So I chose to do a job where I had to deal with pissed up dickheads every single night. Because that's the thing you do, isn't it? So I got back into the bodybuilding for those reasons, to keep me away from it. And that's where I continued, and I competed for about 14 years. Yeah.
Yeah, that's similar to myself. My early 20s, I was always like involved in, like, I kickboxed on and off from I was about 8. Always went to boxing clubs. I never boxed, but I always went to boxing clubs to hit the bags and things. And then I gave it all up when I was about 18. I grew up playing guitar as well, so from I was 18 to 21, I was in like bands all the time. I was like had long indie looking hair, so that was my thing for that few years. But the amount of alcohol and stuff I consumed over a few years, like I used to walk about at like 77 kilo when I was kickboxing. And then slowly but surely, I'm only like 5'6". Slowly but surely, I was like, I never even noticed the weight going on, drinking all the time. I was literally living in a pub, and ended up 16 and a half stone. I didn't train at all. I was a mess. I was totally out of shape. And martial arts, like, literally, we would say, saved my life there, because I noticed how out of shape I was, and slowly started getting back into training, started running again, started getting back into kickboxing. But that was, as you say, it was around about the time of the first Ultimate Fighter season was on, and Forrest Griffin and Stephen Bonner fought. So I was one of, all there was in Dundee at the time was kickboxing clubs, but I was wanting to do the Muay Thai and bits of jits and stuff. So I started having to travel out of Dundee, sort of Fife and Aberdeen, for Thai boxing and stuff, and then eventually MMA, like Billy and things that I mentioned before we came on. They were into the Jeff Thompson stuff and the Cali, the stick fighting and stuff as well, my MMA coaches. So once I started training with Billy and that was me for about 5 years until I got injured. It was just much the same as you. It was like it was a means to channel my energy away from drinking and things like that. Yeah.
Do you think it helped to mold your life and put you on a better path? I was lucky to have a good martial art teacher that would really got respect and discipline from my martial arts.
Yeah, I would never have gave it up if I never hurt my neck. I would never have gave it up. But when I hurt my neck, as I say, I've got an MRI scan about 12 years ago, and I never connected that with a back injury, because it's just started getting vertigo when I was hit, and then I would get numbness in my hands and things when I was hitting the bag. I would get numbness in the legs when I was kicking, and even sometimes when I was skipping, the room would start to spin. So I kept going to the doctors, getting blood took, and they were coming back. My blood was fine. They were like, "Ah, you're fine." So I was going back to training. It was happening again, and ended up going to the physio, and the physio was like, "You've got discs in your neck. Go and get an MRI scan." And that was exactly, he was on the money. I got an MRI scan. Went back to the doctors the next day. Got an MRI scan 2 weeks later, and he was bang on the money. I would never have gave it up. It was like, it kept me focused, and it teaches you a lot of discipline and things. And as well, probably like yourself, I've been around tons of pro fighters and things all my days, and they're the most humble guys on the planet, most of them.
Yeah, I got that as well. Like, you always find, when I was working security a lot, I was doing 7 nights a week at one point, and I did that for many years. And you always find all the troublemakers, all the dickheads, the ones who can't fight, and the ones that can fight normally keep quiet, keep themselves to themselves.
Yeah.
And then usually very nice, respectful people, because they understand. Like, we was always taught, treat everyone in respect the same. That little skinny guy could knock you the fuck out just as much as that big guy over there. I usually found the bigger guys were a lot easier to handle, as it was just, they was stiff, awkward. They didn't know how to fight. So the little wiry ones were normally the problem. My storage device is running low.
Yeah, I've got.
Stop recording and free up some. Oh god, is this going to be a problem for us now?
Have you got a desktop device you could join from? I think this takes quite a lot.
Yeah, I can jump on a different laptop maybe. Oh gosh. Yeah, I'll have to get it off my missus. I would probably need 5 minutes to set that up.
No worries, mate. Right, we'll end the stream there, guys. Sorry if anybody's watching. We will be back in a few minutes. Technical difficulties.
Yeah,
See you soon.
Get on the laptop. So, bud, back soon.
That's all right. Cheers, mate.